We are on day 35 of the government shutdown, tying now for the longest government shutdown in history. But some news here that we have senators, both Republicans and Democrats, looking for an off-ramp.
House Republicans are going to be plenty pissed off about this. I just want to make that clear at the beginning.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchable News. It's Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, it's day 35 of the government shutdown. A glimmer of hope has emerged. Number two, it's Election Day, what we're watching. And number three, how North Carolina Republican Michael Whatley is running in North Carolina. Happy Tuesday, Jake. It is Election Day across the country with some key races that we are watching. But before we get to that, we, as always, are very focused on what's happening and what's not happening inside the Capitol. We are on day 35 of the government shutdown, tying now for the longest government shutdown in history. But we are noting and covering some news here that we have senators, both Republicans and Democrats, looking for an off-ramp. The deal is far from done, but it is, I think, the most significant movement we've had, and a reality that they're trying to find a way out of this.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Today's day 35. House is out of session 46 days. So Andrew and I have some, what I think, and I'll say it's great reporting because Andrew did most of it, but there is discussion about a way to get out of this. And the discussion revolves around effectively Democrats beginning to agree to what many Democrats said they would never agree to. The deal would be as follows. They would agree to John Thune's initial offer to hold a vote on a date certain to renew the expiring Obamacare subsidies. This would almost certainly fail. It would probably be at a 60-vote threshold. I mean, maybe they could do it at a 50-vote threshold, but I don't think they would. And then secondarily, they would pair the stopgap funding bill to reopen the government with a minibus. So they would try to open the government. At the same time, they would attempt to pass three year-long spending bills, Milcon VA, Ledge Branch, and Ag, and get those agencies, those parts of the government, open for a year. So this would serve two purposes. Well, the main purpose, let me actually say this, it's really one purpose. The main purpose it would serve is opening the government, obviously, but the real main purpose it would serve is to jumpstart the appropriations process and exert their will over the established dominance, in a sense, over the 26 spending structure, because there is beginning to be discussion about a year-long CR, which Senate Democrats are going to hate. Now, if I'm Mike Johnson, I say no thanks to that. and he might not have a choice.
Right.
But House Republicans are going to be plenty pissed off about this. I just want to make that clear at the beginning, because what they're going to say is, why are we agreeing to a minibus alongside opening the government? We should just open the government and then handle 26 spending after that. These three bills, Milcon VA, Ledge Branch, and Ag, are not conferenced. But can
I just make a point? The House has abdicated its role.
I agree on everything.
Like, if you look at what's happening here, the pressure is intensifying, right? You have, people aren't getting benefits. They're not getting paid. We're coming up, weeks away from the Thanksgiving holiday of people traveling. The pressure to get this moving is on. And they're trying to find some off-ramp, right? And so you got the Senate needs to do the work of the Senate. They can't necessarily worry about what's going to be happening with Speaker Mike Johnson, but it's not as if Johnson has said anything except for, okay, we just open the government. That's the negotiating position. They're not in town. They're not going to be necessarily taken into account.
And let me up the ante and agree with what you said even further, and I just checked this because you make a good point. The House has not passed Ag. They have not passed Ledge Branch. They have passed Milcon VA. So when they inevitably say, well, we should have a say, well, guys, you haven't passed a bill and you've been out of Washington for 46 days.
You haven't been doing your job.
So, give me, let's be real here, okay? If you wanted to pass appropriations bills, you've had 46 days to do so. Okay, so I don't want to hear that, but I will say this. Trump's going to have to be involved here, Anna. He's going to have to be involved. He's going to have to push the CR end date. He's going to have to completely full-throated, completely agree to the CRN date, which is going to have to be in 2026. It can't be in December because there's no chance anyone would agree to that in their right mind. And the White House was pushing for 26 last time. So into 2026 last time, we thought they should have did it. I think we said so at the time. So anyway, that's number one. Number two, he's going to have to say, Pat, I am for these 3 appropriations bills.
Right.
And I'm for the Senate versions, because the House is going to say, well, we want to conference it. We want to. Okay, then get on the floor and pass your version. Get on the floor and pass your version so you have something to conference.
It just feels like the Senate is going to jam the House once again.
But maybe Johnson says, well, I'm not interested in those 3 bills. Give me Milcon, VA, energy and water and defense. And guess what? The Senate hasn't passed those. So they're not going to be able to. Now, let's wrap the Democrats for a second, since we just spent a couple minutes on the Republicans. This is a fold from Democrats. This is a fold. Like, let's be completely clear, right? Many of them said they were not interested in opening the government until they had a deal etched in the CR to renew the Obamacare premium subsidies, enhanced premium subsidies. This is not that. And there is no guarantee that the Senate's going to pass the Obamacare premium subsidies. There is no guarantee. There's certainly no guarantee the House is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But let me add one more thing here. Well, first of all, Johnson has said if the Senate passes something, he will do whatever. He will look at it. But the shutdown is quite painful. I agree with you there. And it's not clear at all that Republicans are going to fold anytime soon. So I get all of that. But anyway, this is appreciably different than what Democrats said they were aiming for. And that's okay. But let's just be honest with each other here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Democrats are not getting what this shutdown was about on policy, right? Obamacare subsidies. And it was about what was, some of the Medicaid cuts that happened over the summer, right? And that's what Democrats said they were fighting for. They're not in this construct of what we're talking about, which seems to be the most tangible piece of movement we've seen in 35 days of a potential way forward. Let's call it that. That this is not being addressed necessarily at all. I mean, there's a date certain where maybe there's a vote, right? But a week ago that wasn't enough for Democrats. So we'll have to see how they message on this, if this is where the pathway they go down. But it also allows for them to have an off ramp. It also allows, and I think importantly, this is why you see Republicans interested in this, is the idea of reasserting their role in government spending, right? To try to say, hey, we're not going to just do a full year CR and abdicate all, make the appropriations committee basically, why are they even there? And so this is an interesting, I think, dynamic. You see both Republicans and Democrats seeing some advantage if they're able to get this a little bit further down. We'll have to see. But by far, Jake, important, I do think this is an appreciably different conversation we're having today than the conversation we were having at the end of last week.
For sure. It definitely is. And this is going to create a massive rift between the House and Senate Democrats. Massive, because they are getting zip. I mean, you could argue that they're getting a jump start to the appropriations process. They're going to say they are heading off cuts by Republicans. They're going to say they're keeping the Obamacare issue alive. And I will say they are creating, if this goes through, if they do this, they are creating another cliff for House and Senate Republicans. And that's going to be a mess too. Like, let's just be clear.
Yeah, this isn't all fixed. So it's not like, okay, great, we got this done. We're good here.
No. This is opening the government for nothing.
All right.
For a date certain, which, by the way, John Thune has offered this weeks ago. We could have had a shutdown that was not 35 days and was 12 days or 10 days, because he offered this at the beginning. I will give you a vote, he said, on whatever you want, basically. And let me just be clear here. And I know we've gone a little bit long on this top, but let me just be clear here. This is bad for Republicans because healthcare is not a good topic for them. And you and I have talked about this on the podcast a lot of times. It is not a great topic for them, and they are continuing this conversation, and that's not good for them. So but anyway.
All right, Jake, let's go to the number 2 story of the morning. It is election day, and we are watching nationwide what the election results and how they impact Congress, how we read the tea leaves. Let's just talk quickly. Everybody is looking at California redistricting, Proposition 50. Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to redraw the state's congressional maps to help Democrats pick up as many as 5 House seats is on the ballot Tuesday. It is the single most important off-year campaign in the battle for control of Congress, and it is Democrats kind of flag in the ground here for trying to push back against the moves that President Donald Trump and his administration have done across the country, trying to carve out, kind of more favorable districts in Texas and multiple other states.
So here's the thing. Republicans have basically given up on this. In California, they said, well, okay, we're fine with Democrats winning. Democrats spent $98 million on their campaign to boost Prop 50. Republicans spent $38 million. Kevin McCarthy said he was going to have, $100 million or something. Clearly, that didn't materialize. This is going to change California. Doug LaMalfa in Northern California is seeing his district go to going a Harris 12 seat. Kevin Kiley, Sacramento district shifts from Trump plus 4 to Harris plus 10. So that's going to be a tough one for Kevin Kiley to win. David Valadao, who has been a survivor in this,
every single,
except for the time he lost, but he came back. So
right.
His Central Valley seat moves from Trump 6 to Trump 2, a district Dems will obviously contest, but something that Valadao could win. Darrell Issa went from a Trump 15 to a Harris plus 3. Issa, who has been in and out of Congress, can have a tough time holding on to that. Ken Calvert's seat in the Palm Springs area goes from Trump plus 6 to Harris plus 14, a district that Calvert, unfortunately for him, is not going to be able to hold on to because it's going to go to the Los Angeles area, and it's going to become impossible. So that's going to win. I mean, Gavin Newsom's going to win, boosting his fighting credentials, which Democrats are very big into.
Right. Otherwise, we're looking at the New Jersey governor's race, Virginia governor's race, as well as the New York mayoral race. Going to be interesting to see what happens in Virginia. Abigail Spanberger.
Chuck Schumer, Anna, is still talking to Mamdani. He's still having those combos. He's got a couple more things to tie up here.
Just a talker, man. He's a guy that likes a conversation. That's what we have learned.
Lordy.
In this race. All right, let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. Inside Michael Whatley's North Carolina Senate bid, of course, Michael Whatley is the Republican candidate that is going to take the mantle from Tom Tillis and is in a very important North Carolina Senate race against a former Democratic governor. And what's interesting here is our very own Andrew Desiderio caught up with him in Las Vegas during the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit. But Whatley leaning into his support of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's policies.
I mean, there's this theory, Anna, which is, I guess, true. I don't know. But you can't win an election without Trump voters and Republican voters. So you might as well just stick with the president and roll the dice. North Carolina's shifted. I mean, it has. It's a competitive state. He's running against, he's going to almost certainly be running against Roy Cooper, the popular former governor of North Carolina. And Democrats have to win this race. And Cooper is going to make this a race against Donald Trump and against the in a midterm election, the first midterm election, the only midterm election of Trump's second term. He's going to make this about Trump and his policies and cutting Medicaid and all of those things. And in a state like North Carolina, a state with a lot of rural hospitals, healthcare is a big issue. It has been for, a decade. That is going to be a big thing. And you're right. Whatley is completely lining up with Trump.
All right, before we let you go, House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chair Sam Graves, the Republican from Missouri, will be joining us for a conversation focused on news of the day, FEMA reform efforts, and the role of the federal government as it plays in disaster response and recovery with our very own Jake Sherman taking the stage.
That's me.
So
wow.
You can still RSVP for that.
I should write some questions for that, shouldn't I?
That's good. We'll work on that, Jake.
I'll just ad-lib it.
What could go wrong? 9:30 a.m. this morning. You can stream it online as well. As always, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all things Punchbowl News at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.